currently, legislators in Kentucky are debating a bill. It is Kentucky House Bill 8. And what they want to do is protect women or anyone who is a victim of domestic violence. So basically, it would allow victims of alleged abuse to seek domestic violence protection orders from the courts against former spouses and relatives living with a child. So that is an important bill. However, one state representative, a Republican state representative, has decided to hijack this very important bill to send a message about abortion. So Representative Joe Fischer wants to ban abortion past 20 weeks, and he has actually tacked on an amendment to this bill to ensure that if it passes, then it turns out that, hey, you know what, abortion past 20 weeks will be outlawed in the state. Now, this is something that Republicans have been doing throughout the country. Abortion has been more restricted as a result of these types of bills passing. But according to this lawmaker, he tacked on this amendment banning abortions at 20 weeks based on the scientifically unproven claim that fetuses can feel pain at the stage of development. He also said the following quote. He said, "The most brutal form of domestic violence is the violence against unborn children, and this particular bill would prohibit abortions after the fetus feels pain, which is 20 weeks and older." And again, that is not scientifically proven, so that statement is false, right? He just wants to ban abortion. Kentucky currently only has 2 abortion clinics, one that is open 5 days a week, another one that is only open 2 days a week. So it's already really difficult for women in the state to get access to a safe abortion, and now he's going to make it even more difficult.
I find it really reprehensible that he is hijacking a domestic violence reform bill. I mean, the people in Kentucky are not able to get the restrictive orders, the domestic violence protection orders against former spouses or a relative that's a former relative living with a child. You know, these are very important, very difficult, very delicate cases and very delicate situations. And hijacking that, which if they don't get rid of this amendment, then I wonder if that means that this bill won't get passed, that the reform itself will not pass, which would actually help domestic violence abuse victims.
I wonder how outspoken Mr. Fischer was when Republicans in our Congress refused to pass the Violence Against Women Act.
Precisely.
Because it would have been extended to protect undocumented immigrants and Native Americans.
Yeah, I mean, right? I think we should not pretend that this is anything other than what it is, which is this is about abortion. This has nothing to do with domestic violence or anything like that. Look, you could make a solid argument. I'm obviously pro-choice, but you could make a solid argument about the cutoff date of when an abortion is feasible, when the fetus may or may not feel pain. Obviously, it isn't scientifically proven here. 20 weeks is, that's about 5 months in. That is pretty, you're more than halfway there, so to speak. But if you want to have the debate about that, have the debate about that. But what he's trying to do here is so slick, or he thinks he's being so slick about it. And I think this just, it takes back the debate, unfortunately. It pushes it back instead of moving it forward, if you want to have a legitimate debate about abortion.
The worst part about it is, even though they are unable to have a legitimate debate, I mean, lawmakers throughout the country have been so successful in passing these types of laws. Mm-hmm. And it makes me worry because as it becomes more and more difficult for women to get a safe abortion, will they take matters into their own hands? They certainly did in the 1950s. I mean, that wasn't unheard of. And I worry about that. But also, this impacts the poorest in the country, because if you are a middle class or wealthy woman, you have the resources to pay for that abortion, to travel,
if you need to get to that.
You'll have the car, you can do, the 24-hour waiting period. In some cases, it's 72 hours. So it's something that will kind of destroy the lives of a lot of people, because when you think about it, the poorest people will be forced to have these babies, and then at the same time, these are the same conservative Republicans that want to pass cuts to government programs that would help these families.
Let me ask you guys something. If you both knew, if his premise was proven true, that if they could give you scientific evidence that would say at 20 weeks the fetus can feel pain, would that change your opinion?
So let me state my opinion. I'm on the record on this. I am not necessarily against banning abortion past 20 weeks, as long as the woman's life is not in danger, and as long as there's no, developmental issues, right? So if it's a healthy pregnancy and it's past 20 weeks and a state wants to ban the abortion past 20 weeks, I think that a reasonable argument can be made there, right? You've had 20 weeks to make your decision.
Yeah.
Well, but there's an issue that comes with that. Some women can't gather the funds necessary in time to meet that standard. So not to interrupt, but when you have 20 weeks, it doesn't necessarily mean that's an easy 20 weeks for those women to be able to access an abortion anyway, depending upon where the abortion clinic is located, if they're able to get access to those funds. So it can have an ongoing impact in that respect. And to me, if the state is going to do that, then the state needs to pay for it.
Right. So where do you draw the cutoff then?
I don't really have a cutoff. I think that women's bodies belong to them. So as long as you are the person that is the sovereign of your body, you get the right to decide what happens to your body, period, end of story.
Yeah, I'm not as progressive as you on that issue.
I can understand those difficulties
if there
with
is
that,
evidence, if there's scientific evidence indicating that the fetus can feel pain past 20 weeks, then I'm against the abortion, unless, again, the woman's life is in danger or the fetus has some developmental issues. I think then you have to make an exception.
Yeah, and by the way, the missing part of this, which I know we talk about all the time, is that these are the same people who cut sex education out of schools and then don't give access to condoms and other means of contraception, and then the kids go out and do this and get pregnant, and then they won't fund the abortion. I mean, it's such like a never-ending cycle, and it's like you got to have one or the other.
And
either they have looser restrictions, right?
They have zero care for the impacts that this has on the lives of poor people, poor women especially, and the children that they already have. The cutting of the social services before, during, and after shows that they're not really about family values. They're really just about treating women as incubators.
Absolutely, I think it's a form of control and intimidation.